Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J. Gaming on the mic, coming at you with another episode of the ACSA here on Maximum Football 2020. This is John J. Gaming on the mic, and we got quite a few games here that are going to decide the fate of multiple conference championships in terms of who will be going to those conference championship games. So it should be a good one. Make sure you smash that like button as well as hit subscribe if you have to be brand new. As we'll get right into the action here. First game of the day featuring Syracuse State and the Alaska Beluga Whales representing the Rocky Mountain Conference. And Alaska's finds themselves in a pretty interesting situation. They can potentially clinch their way into the Rocky Mountain Conference Championship against Lake Oswego if they can win this game here against Syracuse State, as well as do the same, beat Lake Oswego in what would have been a huge upset if they can somehow pull it off. As for Syracuse State, you know, they're just out here playing spoiler man, 1-10 coming in, final game of the season, not even senior day, none of the less. So definitely a challenge that is being presented here to the Syracuse State Lakers. We'll see if we can play spoiler and prevent the Beluga Whales from, you know, going to that conference championship game, as Syracuse State is actually driving. They're within the 5-yard line already. As now second and goal, going to go across the middle, find Henson across, and it's a touchdown for the Lakers. Syracuse State going to go ahead and take an early 7-0 lead on the Alaska Beluga Whales. As we'll see how these Whalers can respond. Still down 7-0, but Chowders looks to change it here on this drive, hopefully, as it's an early first down for the Whalers quarterback. As now, 1st and 10, Chowders going to send it over to the left-hand side, nearly intercepted, and it goes for an incompletion. So they'll try again here, 2nd and 10 coming up here, going to hand it off to Christian Battle, who's going to fight his way forward for a 7-yard gain, making it 3rd and short for the Beluga Whales. As they'll go back to Chowders once again, through the air, finds Barnett, the backup tailback for this Beluga Whales offense. Able to get a first down in the process, but going to be facing a little bit of adversity here in a legal procedure. Makes it 1st and 15, and then on the very next play, they are actually going to go ahead and throw an interception. Grand Syracuse State doesn't do anything with it, but we're getting close to halftime, and these Lakers still hold the lead. It could get bigger as they force another turnover. Granted, they went 3 and out, but they were so close. They were able to add a few more points onto the board, and ladies and gentlemen, we have already played a half of football, and what we have already seen here today is the Alaska Beluga Whales, who are fighting for an opportunity to play in the Rocky Mountain Conference Championship game, are now going to go ahead and be down 10-0, and we're through an entire half of play. Are we going to see a little bit of an upset alert playing spoiler, preventing the Alaska Beluga Whales from getting into the conference championship game, as that is a first down for Alaska right there. As now 1st and 10, Chowders trying to throw it over the middle, but just couldn't get a good grip on it, and it led to that incompletion for sure. As now a couple plays later, facing 3rd and long, Chowders trying to escape the pressure and somehow does that actually, and is able to get a first down because of it. Getting a little bit closer to the red zone. Next first down will get it done for them in terms of getting the ball into the red zone. As Chowders looking to throw it over to the left-hand side. Thought he saw a man, but led him a little too much, it seemed like. As that is going to be an incompletion once again. As now 3rd and 11. Chowders throwing it over to the left-hand side. Jasmine making a nice spin. He's on the outside. Getting chased down from behind. As Syracuse State does finally bring them down at about the 15-yard line. 1st and 10 now coming up for the Beluga Whales. They're continuing to move it forward for a little 7-yard gain on the play. As now 2nd and 3, Chowders dropping back the pass. He's looking around. Going to try to throw his thing towards the end zone. Leaps for it, but can't quite come down with it. Another incompletion for the Alaska football team. As 3rd and short coming up here, Chowders will try to throw it over the middle one more time, but it does fall harmlessly to the ground. So Alaska does have to settle for a field goal here, and gonna give it to Syracuse State. You know, this is certainly a football team that is continuing to fight. You would think they would lay down to a degree, have nothing to play for, been an awful season for Syracuse State, but that has not been the case here today. They are continuing to fight for their head coach as they're still trying to figure out what's going to happen to their current head coach, whether he is released or not. But in the meantime, 1st and 10 coming up. Smoot going to go ahead and pick up the first down here for the Syracuse State Lakers as they continue to get a nice little drive going here. As now 1st and 10, Massey throwing over in the middle, tries to thread the needle, but doesn't quite work out for him. An incomplete pass. As now 2nd and 10, Massey gonna hand it off to Brown this time, who fumbles the football though and gives it back to the Alaska Beluga Whales. And that is exactly what this football team needs right here, as they now have a chance to go ahead and tie this game right here, right now. We'll see if they can make it happen here as Chowders gonna take it by himself. A designed quarterback run that is going to go ahead and be a first down. As a few plays later, 3rd and 14, Chowders trying to make something happen, but receiver can't make the catch, and even if he did, it doesn't seem like he was going to be able to pick up the first down. So had to put those aspirations aside for a quick second, as they did force it 3 and out though on Syracuse State. So Alaska does have the football once again, have good field position as well. About 3rd and 7, gonna get the Jasmine over the middle, a tight seam that the quarterback was able to squeeze in there. Is now 1st and 10, Chowders dropping back the pass, trying to throw it across the middle once again up the seam, but it's incomplete. But there is a pass interference that is going to help Alaska tremendously, as they are now well within field goal range. But that being said, you probably want to go for the touchdown if you're Alaska. We'll see what they decide to do here, as they do have a 3rd and 8. Chowders going to try to throw it towards the left-hand side, but it's deflected away. And a little bit far to go for it, so Alaska actually going to go ahead and settle for the field goal here, but still sets them up with this opportunity with 41 seconds left to win this game once and for all. And they're almost across midfield already. A first down for Alaska. It's now 1st and 10, Chowders going to the left-hand side, finds Harris, gets another first down. Clock is going to be ticking though, as they have a handful of seconds remaining. Chowders dropping back the pass, has a man down the left side, had a man, but it is going to be incomplete however. So now 39 yards you got to get on this play right here, otherwise the game is over. They throw it short to Foster, and Syracuse makes the play within the boundaries. It's a first down, but Syracuse State will hold on to win this game, playing spoiler and preventing the Alaska Beluga Whales from going to the conference championship, winning 10-6. So now that being said, we'll shift things over to the Sunshine Conference, where things are still left to be decided. Virginia Coastal still has a fighting chance to come out there and at least finish 500 and get themselves an opportunity to qualify for a bowl game. But Lynchburg A&M, they are sitting in the way. They're currently sitting 1-9. If I read that correctly, they still have a game to play in week 13. As I'll hand it out to the outside, gets it over to Hayes for a little 5-yard gain on that one. Nice little gain, you'll love to see it. As now 2nd and 5 for the Virginia Coastal Waves. Bedford facing pressure, gonna throw it over to the right hand side again to Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but he is for real breaking those tackles. As they finally get to the 20-yard line, remember they were deep in their own territory to start this drive, actually starting in the shadow of their own goal line in the process. A 2nd and 10, Bedford going to try to run forward. Not a lot of running room, but still somehow able to find a way to pick up 5 yards on that play. As a 3rd and 5 now, Bedford coming up, throwing immediately, and gets it to Kareem down the center of the field for a huge first down once again. Virginia Coastal looking like a team from the Sunshine Conference that certainly wants to go to a bowl game, but Lynchburg A&M has something to say about it. Interception on the play. And that being said, unfortunately they don't do anything with the drive. They do pin them deep, however, all the way down to the 1-yard line. It's now 2nd and 10. Bedford throwing it over the middle, finds Kareem, who fumbles the football, gets it to Kennelly, who is wearing the Lynchburg A&M jersey. And so that being said, Lynchburg A&M actually going to go ahead and take an early 3-0 lead here, as we have a first down once again for Virginia Coastal. Lynchburg A&M once again, not really playing for anything, but they can prevent Virginia Coastal from going to a bowl game. They need one more win to at least become bowl eligible, as they throw it down the left-hand side, gets it over to Hayes for a first down on that play. It's now a couple plays later now. Bedford throwing it across the left-hand side, gets it to Pettis. Pettis is able at the very least pick up the first down for these Waves, as they got the blue surf coming here, going over the right-hand side, gets it to Mack. Mack is able to pick up a first down as well and get them into the red zone for the very first time today. We'll see if Virginia Coastal has what it takes to finally take the lead here, as Bedford will throw short again over to Hayes, who nearly does pick up the first down, an 8-yard gain on the play. As now 2nd and 2, Matt Bedford under center, going to throw it over the middle once again, but does not find any luck this time around. An incomplete pass, which means Bedford going to have to try to run it in, and nearly gets to the end zone in the process. He's going to be sucked in by the 1-yard line monster though. As now 1st and goal, Bedford throwing it over to the right-hand side, finds Mack in the end zone. Touchdown Virginia Coastal, and they finally take the lead on Lynchburg A&M. They now enjoy an early 7-3 lead, I should say, here, as one of the Virginia Coastal defensive linemen, Daniel Wright, actually jumps off sides there. As now 2nd and 5, going to go ahead and move to the right-hand side for the first down on that play. As now another 1st and 10. Jones going to the right-hand side to Ragsdale, who gets lit up like a Christmas tree. And even worse is a holding penalty on Lynchburg A&M. That's going to knock him back all the way to, looks like, the 22-yard line. So a 1st and 20. Jones going to try to throw it to the right-hand side, but throws it right to a Virginia Coastal person. If Mason had an actual sense of direction, that could have easily been a pick 6 right there, but instead starting to drive just outside of the red zone here. We'll see if Virginia Coastal can turn this into more points. That's what you gotta do trying to be a bowl eligible team. As Bedford again will drop back the pass, throw it over the middle. That's intercepted as well by GT in the Lynchburg A&M defense. They stand up and make a great play right there, as now it still remains that 7-3 game. But will Lynchburg A&M do anything off their possessions? The defense are doing a wonderful job of actually coming out here and putting these offenses in decent position, but Lynchburg A&M's offense has simply not been able to do anything right now. We'll see if there's a change right here, as Jones will throw to the left-hand side, gets to the Scouts, who had the ball for a split second, but can't quite hang on to it. As now 2nd and 10, going to throw over in the middle to Atman, who's able to get across the first down marker, but he fumbles it well. Gives it to Virginia Coastal, who goes free and out. But what they also do is get a field goal on the board right there, as Virginia Coastal coming with a 10-3 lead now. Lynchburg gotta get itself together, and that will really help the cause, as Petrulia is able to pick up a first down for the Patriots. And for the very first time today, their offense is able to work them across the 50-yard line. But how long will that last, though, as they take a nice little sack right there for a loss of 4. As now 2nd and 14, Jones will drop back, throw to the left-hand side, gets to the Scouts down the left sideline for a 12-yard gain. Lynchburg A&M on the move, trying to tie this game right here, as Jones will once again run it up the gut. Tough running room, gets the first down, and on top of that, Kevin Samuel of Virginia Coastal, one of the captains of this Virginia Coastal defense, he's actually going to be out for the remainder of this game. But if they reach postseason action, they'll at least be back for that, but they gotta worry about this game right now, as Jones thrown over the left-hand side, gets to the Scouts, goes for the end zone, and he's going to be stopped at the 1-yard line. Once again, the 1-yard line monster playing a role there. As Lynchburg A&M will try to punch it in here, trying to throw it over the middle. Actually, a pretty tightly contested area, though. That is going to be marked as an incompletion. So if the arm's not really working, might as well go with the legs as Jones powers his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots! And with just a handful of minutes left here in this first half, this game is now all knotted up at 10 apiece. Lynchburg A&M also looking to do what Syracuse State did to the Alaska Beluga Whales and play spoiler. Are we going to see that twice in one episode? Still a lot of football that is still left to play here, as we actually have a 1st and 5. Max actually going to try to take it up the middle. Couldn't find that running room necessarily, but there was a holding penalty on the play. So now 1st and 15 for the Waves of Virginia Coastal, and after again completion, now they are looking at 2nd and 15. Bedford once again will drop back the pass, facing pressure though, has Pettis down the middle. Can somebody catch this man? He has a chance, and he does get into the end zone. Touchdown, Waves. And Virginia Coastal gonna go ahead here and extend the lead. So some positive momentum going into the locker room as they come back out here in the second half. They hold a 20-10 lead. And then on top of that, they also have the football to begin the second half of play. So we'll see what Virginia Coastal does with that. As we have a 2nd and 10, Bedford going to try to run it up the right-hand side. Who has a nice little spin move, but forgets about the football, though. So that's not good. But they don't allow any points of free and out. Playing a big role there, but they don't get lucky a second time. As 2 offensive plays in a row for Virginia Coastal, ending in fumbles. Just giving Lynchburg A&M an opportunity to get themselves back into this game. We'll see if Lynchburg A&M can take advantage of it this time around, as Jones looking around, makes a man miss, gonna try to slide down, but decides to try to fight for a couple more extra yards. So now 1st and goal from the 8. Jones dropping back again, has a clean pocket, gonna try to throw it over in the middle, but it is incomplete. As a couple plays later now facing 3rd and goal. Ragsdale gonna try to run into the end zone, but is stopped 1 yard short of the goal line. And Lynchburg A&M is gonna go ahead and go for it here. Gonna hand it off to Ragsdale, who gets it into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots. And Lynchburg A&M comes into this game 1-9 here in this inaugural season. And if they get this 2-point conversion, it's only going to be a 2-point game, as Jones does indeed make it happen for Lynchburg A&M. And it's now only a 2-point game here. As now Virginia Coastal will take over, looking to respond after giving up a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And I think that is certainly a very great way of doing just that. Huge pass down the left-hand sideline. Jennings running away from the defense. And Virginia Coastal instantly makes this a 2-score game once again. So now Lynchburg A&M, they got to come out with some more offense of their own. As Jones again will drop back the pass. Throw it to Antiman, but he fumbles the ball and gives it to Virginia Coastal, who's able to turn around and turn it into a field goal here. As now it sets up the Waves very nicely midway through this 4th quarter of play, and we are, looking like a nice win for Virginia Coastal, unless there is a sudden collapse for this football team. But unless something absolutely insane happens here, I think Virginia Coastal just might be able to pull this thing out and get to 6-6. But I'm sure the Patriots of Lynchburg A&M are still going to have a little bit of fight left in them. As 1st and 10, Bedford going to go ahead and slide down for a 7-yard gain on the play. As now 2nd and 3, Bedford dropping back, going to try to throw it over to the right-hand side. It's incomplete, however. As now 3rd and 3, Bedford going to try to toss it over in the middle. Gets it to Hubbard. He fumbles the football. He had the 1st down and everything, but it's not enough still for Lynchburg A&M, as Virginia Coastal still pulls this out. They win this thing 30-24. So for the final game of this episode, we're actually going to take a look at what is being considered the worst team in college football from a roster perspective. The Jackson Jackers are actually going to be hosting the Raleigh Red Rams in some Stars and Stripes conference play. Jackson Jackers, man, they are the only team in the ACSA that is under a 60 overall on defense. They have a 58 overall defense, and their offense is not much better, only a 62. So definitely the worst team in college football, at least from a talent perspective. Granted, they, unlike a few teams in the ACSA, they have won a game. So we'll see how bad the worst team in college football actually is. And right now, Riley making quick work of the Jackson Jackers early on here in this game as they're pulling together a nice little drive here. Although that incompletion is not going to really help the cause. As now, 2nd and goal, Caldwell going to throw it over the right-hand side, and LaBeouf. That's right, Shiloh LaBeouf allegedly, or at least a nephew of Shiloh LaBeouf, finds the end zone for the Riley Red Rams. As now, we'll go ahead and take a look at the Jackson Jackers offense. For the very first time today, we get a nice little first down right there, so you definitely love to see that. Although penalties might kill this team. They can't afford getting off schedule, and an illegal procedure certainly will not help the cause here, as Williams will have to throw on his 1st and 15. But Williams is able to get out into the open. However, a nice gain on the play there. Is now 3rd and short. Williams going to drop back to pass, though. Throw it out to the right-hand side. Gets it to Gums, who does end up picking up the first down for Jackson. So the Jackers looking to go ahead and try to tie this game. We'll see if they can do it. And they got a nice, promising drive as well. Getting across the 25-yard line. You definitely love to see that as we're closing into the end of the first half. And Jackson has surprisingly been able to keep it close. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought this was going to be a little bit more of a lopsided game. But Jackson, in their senior day, is keeping it very close. Although they did have to settle for a field goal there. But going to halftime, they're only down 7-3. So who knows? Maybe the underdog can indeed win 2 games in a row. Or at least 2 out of 3 games of this episode, I should say. As a 3rd down, Riley forced to throw it and finds Falawi down the left sideline and nearly gets to midfield in the process. It's now 3rd and long coming up for Riley. Caldwell dropping back to pass. He's looking around, going to send it over the middle of the field. Gets it to Jenkins. Leroy Jenkins for the first down right there. And they're in the red zone again. We'll see what they can come up with. Unfortunately, that's an incompletion, though. Now we got a 2nd and 10 coming up. Caldwell throwing once again, finding a man on the right side. Beautiful throw to Cheek, but Cheek cannot make the catch for his quarterback. And so 3rd and long, Caldwell throwing to the right-hand side, finds Alberts this time, who's wide but naked open, as Param Crow would always say. It's now a few plays later, 3rd and goal, gonna get to Cheek, who punches it into the end zone for the Red Rams. Touchdown for Riley University. And they extend this lead out, now making it a 14-3 game. And now Jackson has at times put together decent spurts, but for the most part they have not been able to put together 4 quarters of complete football. And that's just also a product of Jackson not only being one of the worst teams in college football, but also coincidentally one of the youngest teams as well. As Caldwell will throw once again. Finds Tupa over the middle. Nobody home in deep center. And Tupa's going to be able to walk into the end zone with ease. Touchdown for Riley once again. As now it sits 21-3 right now. Caldwell throwing it and dealing here in the second half as Falawi able to get loose once again for the first down. As now 1st and 10 once again. Caldwell dropping back, he's looking around, gonna throw to the left-hand side, and it's incomplete. However, it's now 2nd and 10 again. Caldwell dropping back, throwing to the right-hand side to Falawi, who does end up picking up the first down. Nice little gain right there. Is now 2nd and goal. Caldwell dropping back, gonna throw to the right-hand side. That is also going to be incomplete, however. Is now Caldwell once again. Go to Cheek, and is going to be actually stopped. So Jackson defense does make a play right there and gets it to 24-3. But you know, this defense got to do more than just get some stops at this point. They're down by 3 scores. It's the 4th quarter. Things are simply not looking good for Riley as there's another big play down the left-hand side. So now another first down for the Red Rams, as Caldwell will actually drop back the pass again. Gets it to LaBeouf, who this time fumbles the football. And the Jackson Jackers actually do recover. So we'll see what Jackson can actually do here. Williams dropping back. Gonna try to toss it down the right-hand sideline. Could have had a huge play right there, but just absolutely missed him though. As Williams drops back to pass, he's looking. Gets it to the left-hand side. Over to Gums, who's scrolling down the left sideline. They're almost to midfield already, so that's promising. Although their drive might stall out here, depending on what happens on this 3rd and 7. Williams throws it short to Gums, who doesn't have time to get on field. That kind of explains the game right there, as Riley does end up winning 24-3. Jackson puts up a good fight, but they'll take their 11th loss of the season. So now that it is all set and done here with the Week 12 games, so go ahead and check around the ACSA to check out other scores that happened throughout the course of Week 12, as well as some games to look at for Week 13 as we go ahead and conclude this regular season. So starting off, we did have Bluffton Tech, who came up in here going on the road to play against the Lincoln Fighting Salt and actually winning by a final score of 31-6, improving their record to 10-1 against a solid Big North Conference team. After that, we see the Amazon Delivery Boys actually playing 2 different games. Amazon, you know, winning the first game against University of California, Calabasas, but then they turn around and actually lose to Burrow State, which will effectively end their hopes for the Big Pacific Conference Championship. After that, we see the Seattle Cascades continue to take care of business and winning by a final score of 27-10 against the Hebrew University of California. Seattle improving to 11-1, putting themselves firmly in the conversation to maybe go to the very first college football playoff within the ACSA. After that, we also have a team from the Rocky Mountain Conference making a name for themselves. Lake Oswego going ahead and improving to 11-1 as well, beating the Alaska Beluga Whales by a final score of 27-6. The Lake Oswego Ironmen climbing up in the polls. Could they be the first group of 5 team to make it to the college football playoff? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, out west, the Oaksterdam Reefers also continue to take care of business. They defeat the Anchorage Tech Whalers by a final score of 20-6. Oaksterdam not known for the offense, but they have a pretty stout defense, and they'll keep themselves in the college football playoff conversation as well, improving to 11-1 here on this inaugural season. Shooting back out to the great state of Texas, we saw the David Crockett Mavericks host the Especola of New England. Probably one of the best teams to not make it to a bowl game, and they will finish their season strong, defeating one of the better teams in the nation by a final score of 19-12 in a brutal defensive matchup. The Crusaders improved to 5-7, whereas the David Crockett Mavericks, they will finish this regular season 8-4 here in the ACSA inaugural regular season. However, there's another team in Texas that actually did take care of business though. The Sugar Land State Cowboys played the Phoenix State Flames in Big Southwest Conference play. They improved to 10-2. We'll see if that is enough to go ahead and go to the Big Southwest Conference Championship game. But for now, they beat Phoenix State by a final score of 29-13. Southern New Mexico looking to prove that they belong in the college football playoff, finishing the regular season convincingly. They played the San Jose Dolphins on the road and destroyed those guys, winning by a final score of 58-0. What a game that we just witnessed there for sure. University of Alabama Hoover looking to prove that they at least deserve to go to a really good bowl game, as the Panthers destroyed the Peach Panthers from Georgia, beating them 37-13, which means this former top 25 team in the preseason, by the way, this was a preseason top 25 team, finishes 5-7. It will not even go to a bowl game this season. Elsewhere, the Texas Catholic Gladiators also had a non-conference matchup hosting the Modesto State Buccaneers. And Texas Catholic at least will finish the season strong, winning by a final score of 58-0. It's a real good way to end the regular season for Texas Catholic, who has a double-digit win season. You'll love to see it. Chattanooga Tech also finishes this year strong. They actually played Mississippi A&M, who was one of the top 5 ranked teams in the nation at one point, but have fallen from grace a little bit, and that fall from grace will continue as Chattanooga Tech takes care of business and wins by a final score of 19-13 in the Super South Conference matchup. Warwick also gets another win to add to their historic season, as they are the only undefeated team left in the ACSA. The Warwick Rebels win by a final score of 33-6. Lebanon Aviators, another preseason top 25 team that really disappointed, they will fall to 4-8. Meanwhile, the Warwick Rebels, they finish the season undefeated going into postseason play. Looking to also make it to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship is the southeastern coast of Florida. The Piranhas take care of business this week, playing the Hanover Cadets, who will finish the season 6-6. We'll see if they make it to a bowl game, but for now, the Piranhas improved to 9-2, and we'll see if they can finish the regular season strong and go to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship game. Shooting back over to the Super South Conference, we have the Bayou State Gators playing spoiler. They upset the Little Rock Yellow Jackets on Senior Day. The Gators winning by a final score of 22-0. Little Rock taking their 3rd loss of the season, and it might be enough to take them out of Super South Conference Championship play. We'll see what happens to the Little Rock Yellow Jackets. Elsewhere, the Eastern Pennsylvania Beavers get upset by the Hawassa Chiefs. Hawassa looking for revenge, trying to play spoiler, and they do just that, preventing Eastern Pennsylvania from getting into a scenario where they can potentially play for the Big North Conference Championship. This could knock them out, as Hawassa wins this game by a final score of 32-17. DeKalb A&M also avoiding an upset, as well as they went on the road to play against the Northern New York Freeze. The Freeze actually started off 4-0 in non-conference play, but then when they entered Big North Conference action, it has not been pretty. They lost 8 straight games in a row now. The Freeze will finish 4-8, whereas the DeKalb A&M will have a nice, solid regular season, finishing 9-3 this year. And maybe one of the biggest surprises of this week, the Whitetails demolished a top 10 team in the nation. The Iroquois Eagles lose 41-10. The Whitetails still unranked despite the good win, but they do finish the regular season 8-4 regardless. So now that we did a nice little recap of what has happened around the ACSA over the course of week 12, here is what the new top 25 polls are coming into going into the very last week of the regular season. Warwick, of course, no surprises here, are currently on top. They are the only undefeated team left in the nation, and they will, of course, hold the #1 ranking. After that, we got a little cluster here of one-loss teams with between Bluffton Tech, Capital of Tennessee, Southern New Mexico, Lake Ozago, and the Amsterdam Reefers, as well as the Seattle Cascades. It looks like it's going to be these 6 teams right here that will be competing for the last 3 spots. Warwick, unless they have a really bad loss, looks like they're gonna be, in the college football playoff. For the other 3 teams, though, it's all set in stone, particularly for Bluffton Tech. Everyone else's regular season is done. We still have to see these guys play one more game before going into the postseason. But then, like Capital of Tennessee, if they win, I'm sure they're going to be in. Same with Southern New Mexico. But then we also have this matchup between Amsterdam and Seattle. The winner of this game will keep their playoff hopes alive. I assume they'll be playing each other in the conference championship. I'll have to look back and try to confirm that. Lake Ozago too, if they win and one of these teams ahead of them lose, they can find themselves in the college football playoff as well. So a lot happening here right now in terms of like this race to be one of those 4 teams that compete for a national championship. After that, though, there's some good teams, in this second tier right here. We got the Iroquois Eagles, Texas Catholic, University of Alabama Hoover, who in my opinion had the most talented team on paper. You know, if they could have turned one of those losses into W's, I'm sure they would be competing for the college football playoff, but it looks like they're going to be just out of it as of right now. You know, a lot of really good teams. Southeastern Coast of Florida could be going to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship. Same could be said for either Sugar Land State or Texas Catholic to go and play against the Southern New Mexico Cougars. As we continue to look down this list, you know, a lot of good teams here for sure. As look, what we do have is Central Georgia A&M, who was in the top 25 to begin the preseason, but after a loss in week 1, they fell out and they have just now joined us. They're now back in, ranked number 23 in the nation, which means we did have a team fall out. And look at this, the VCU Saints from the Sunshine Conference. They're ranked in the top 25 as well. They get the 25 spot. So shout out to the Virginia Christian Saints from the Sunshine Conference. They're now the second team from the group of 5 to be in the top 25. So you love to see that, which means there are a couple other teams I believe fell out. We'll see. We'll try to figure out. I believe the Ken Colonials was one of those squads. And I know Iowa Institute of Technology also fell out of the top 25 as well. So what we are now looking at is the remaining games that will be taking place over the course of week 13. There will be 5 games that I'll be playing between, now and Friday. So I'm going to start with the games that will be shown on Wednesday. Wednesday night, we are going to have Bluffton Tech playing Morehead State to start the episode out, to figure out if Bluffton Tech, they're basically in a win and in situation. Their hopes are looking pretty good to make it to the Big North Conference Championship, but if they do lose to Morehead State, though, that could take them out of contention to go to the college football playoff. After that, we'll have the Iowa Institute of Technology play the Detroit State Pit Bulls. The Pit Bulls, of course, being ranked number 21 in the nation, whereas the Vikings are now unranked after taking their 5th loss of the season. They're actually in danger of just finishing 500 after what was a promising start for them this year. But it is what it is, though. We'll see what happens to them. Beyond that, we'll have the Southeastern Coast of Florida. They're currently 9-2 right about now. They're going to be hosting the Florida Tech Techies, who are ranked as high as number 7. They fall into a little bit of a spell, but after that, man, they have gotten themselves back on track. We'll see if Florida Tech can finish the regular season strong. Then, of course, we have the Herbert Hoover Old Glory, who do need a little bit of help, but they could get into the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship game as well. If the Old Glory win and the Southeastern Coast of Florida loses their game against Florida Tech, Herbert Hoover could be that team that goes to the Atlantic Shore Conference Championship game to take on the Warwick Rebels. And then finally, for the last game that will be shown for the ACSA regular season, we will have an ACSA primetime matchup between the Little Rock Yellow Jackets and the Central Georgia A&M Bulldogs. Gonna be a good matchup. I am excited to see how it all goes down. This will be dropping Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll try to make it a premiere if I have it ready in time. Either way, I will try to have this game dropping on Friday. And it'll be the last game before I reveal the teams that will be going to conference championship games. That will be happening Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern to confirm which teams go to which conference championship games at the end of the season. So with that being said, I hope you did enjoy today's ACSA episode. And if you did, do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new to the channel and like what you see as well. In the meantime, though, I hope you guys are all out there having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.